Welcome to the last day of the EELW. We're very glad to have you here. And today we have a lot of interesting webinars, but the overarching theme of the day is the future of education. And in the next webinar, we will have all the lead partners join us for one last time to talk about this topic. So don't forget to sign up for that. But in the meantime, we have a very interesting webinar organized by ECNAIS. So now I'm going to give the word over to Peter so that he can kick it off. Thank you and enjoy.
Thank you very much, Valentina. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to this ECNAIS webinar. It's about school leaders in independent schools as creators of learning environments. Good morning also to our three speakers, whom I will introduce later. This ELNI webinar is provided by ECNAIS, and we are a partner in ELNI. I am Peter Warnders. I'm from ECNAIS, and I'm a member of the ELNI steering group. First, I would like to speak some words about ECNAIS and ELNI. ECNAIS is the European Council of National Associations of Independent Schools, a non-for-profit organization founded in 1988. National associations in 23 countries are members. Going from Iceland in the west to Ukraine and Belarus in the east, from Finland in the north to Portugal and Spain in the south. Today in Europe, about 19% of all students visit independent primary and secondary schools. Now, for those who don't know ELNI, some few words about ELNI, the Educational Leadership Network Europe. It's a Europe-wide community of relevant and reputable European-level networks, national organizations, and regional and local institutions, representing policymakers, practitioners, researchers, and stakeholders from the education and training sector from all over Europe. The whole network is composed of over 60 partner organizations from 26 different countries, including 10 Europe-wide networks, 22 universities, and multiple national, regional, and local organizations, including ministries of education, authorities, private associations, etc. ELNI works towards the goal of enhancing collaborative school leadership in Europe. And to achieve this object, ELNI focuses on two elements. The first, showcasing existing research practices and social programs that are educative and can be good examples for other institutions and organizations to implement the European education area goals. The second purpose, providing a platform for all relevant stakeholders in education to dialogue and facilitate bottom-up initiatives. Every year over the next 3 years, ELNI will organize an annual week-long online event to bring together education employers, school heads, middle management, teachers, students, parents, researchers, and policymakers to showcase their work and expertise. These webinars and showcases will become part of the ELNI digital library of best practices that will be available in ELNI's website very soon. The theme of this year is transforming schools into learning communities. Let's go to our panel now. The first speaker will be Radka Karagiozova from Bulgaria. She will speak about leaders as innovate. Our second speaker will be Jakub Dvorak from Czech Republic. Jakub will speak about independent schools as front runners in special education. And our last speaker from Turkey is Serap Sarıgül Hazar. And Serap will speak about positive school leadership. But before we go to our first speaker, we will have a little poll. Two questions we want to ask to you. And the first question is, where is everybody from? From which country are you? Let's go to the second question then. Are you working in a public or in independent school, or for public or independent education? Well, after this poll, we know who we are, who are around the globe with us. Let's go to our first speaker. Radka, may I give the floor to you?
Thank you so much, Peter. Hello, everyone. You hear me well, right? I see some familiar faces as well. Welcome to everyone. It's a great opportunity. Immense thank you for this chance to participate in this forum. I see it really as an opportunity to develop and sustain collaborative leadership in Europe in education. And it's also a great pleasure to be part of this ECNAIS triad today, and a responsibility as well, because we will be talking about probably about our national contexts, about global issues in education, but at the same time we will be presenting ECNAIS as our home network. So I will be talking about leaders as innovators and leaders as change drivers in the modern world. Change has been a buzzword not just for the last decade, it has been a buzzword forever, because there's always this drive to create a better version of our life and of what we do. So it doesn't matter whether we have a reactive or proactive change, whether it has been because of the pandemics or because of our inner drive to develop what we do. It has always been very important how, what, and why we try to always innovate in our life. Leaders in education often feel like that, high on the thin rope with a lot of risks to take care of, and always willing to bridge some kind of gap between what is and what we want to see in our life. My presentation will be more connected with this broader background and essence of what it is to create leading innovations in a sector like education, but also as an entrepreneurial impulse and practice. So Peter touched upon our aspiration to create learning communities, not just schools, to create in the modern world educational environment that supports and develops students, and to be on the constant development of new organizational culture. And what probably most of you notice about educational environment and learning communities is that they are constructed and developed over long periods of time. It's not just a week or a school term. It usually takes years to clarify what the values are, what the vision is, and how the culture functions, what adaptations you need to make as a leader, and how the team and the students, the parents, respond to those. It is also very difficult or even impossible to copy a school culture or a learning community culture. It's always unique. It's always different from the next one. Although we can learn from each other, creating such a learning environment and community is actually a very intrinsic to the organization thing. We all experience those communities and environments personally. They live through us, but we also feel them on all our levels: mental, physical, psychic, emotional, dream level. So that's a very specific thing to learning environments, because they're very core connected to us, as learning is. And also they're subject to multiple formal and informal discourses. They are dependent on the political, economical state of the society where we live in, the history behind it, and all those layers of content that we have in us as social beings. In all cases, innovation requires extra resources and communication. from the very first step where ideas are born, where the vision is created, to the last step where we analyze the results and hopefully multiply. Probably that's why it's seen either as a threat or a blessing, in many cases as both. But what we do need to realize is that it's not a journey, that it is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not an end in itself. It's something that takes time and takes a lot of people involved in a process. Let me ground you a little bit with the Bulgarian context where I come from. The independent sector there started some 25, 30 years ago when the democratic changes in the country started. Obviously, from the screen, you can see the sector is very small. It's less than 5% of the school system, of the educational system, and the numbers are 228 independent private schools in Bulgaria, schools and kindergartens. Half of them are schools, nearly a little more than half are kindergartens. What is very interesting about the start of Bulgarian independent sector in education is that it was created by teachers. Teachers who saw that they have the resources, the idea to create an alternative to what already existed. So from the very start, it was an innovation-based, a change-based, change-oriented segment of education in Bulgaria. What created a completely different environment was the adoption of a new Education Act in 2017. That Education Act opened the grounds for innovation, and since then, schools can innovate in several areas of education: pedagogical, organizational, leadership, all kinds of practices connected with the regular functioning of a school, management aspects. What happened was that this less than 5% independent schools in Bulgaria, in the first 2 years after 2017, created 25% of the innovations in the whole educational system in Bulgaria, which actually opened doors to both public and private sector, both public and independent sector, for larger scale of innovation and change, which was desperately needed at that time and still nowadays in Bulgaria. The school that I'm running has already implanted in our body 3 successful innovations in 3 different sections. One pedagogical, which is connected with Suggestopedia, a new, a revived method and philosophy in education. Learning outside the classroom is a second innovation that we developed and has already approbated. And the third one is an integral one called the 5 Elements that includes different organizational, philosophical, and pedagogical aspects. Now, for the last remaining few minutes, I will focus on the importance of questions when we innovate. Questions are important in all areas of the innovation cycle. And I will focus on 2 types of questions, 2 lists of questions that are not prioritized, but they are divided in 2 along the following line. The first group of questions are connected with the leader as a leader of the team, and the second group of questions are connected with the leader as the leader of himself or herself. As I said, they're not prioritized. I will slide through them, and later on, if there are questions on the questions, we can discuss them. So one very important thing we as leaders need to know when starting to innovate and at every step of the innovation cycle is how does the innovation contribute to the well-being of everyone participating and involved as a stakeholder? How are the students benefiting from that? How the teachers' well-being is growing? How are the families? How do the families deal with that innovation? And how is society as a whole? How does society see that? How does it reflect on it? How is it transforming thanks to it? Because as I told you earlier, teachers created Bulgarian independent sector. In most of the cases, when asked what is the one most important reasons they started a school, they would tell you that it's the best and fastest way to transform society. What is the best timing and the best time frame is the next question. For me, it has always been a challenge to wait, for example, to be patient until the environment around the school, in the system or in the larger society is ready for the innovation that I have in mind. So I have to create this balance within myself, whether I'm taking the risk to break walls with my head because no one is yet familiar with an idea like the one I have in mind, or is not ready to live it in such risking the well-being of their own child, if we are talking about parents, for example. So this balance between patience at one hand, because innovation usually cannot wait. You have a strong urge to put into practice what you have already seen as an opportunity. The other aspect of patience being needed is when your team is not yet ready, when the growth mindset is not yet a characteristic of the team itself. So it has to be planted and developed, grown with care and love, so that it can create this environment of innovation as well and support it and sustain it. What is the big, hairy, audacious goal behind the innovation? This is a quote from Vern Harnish and his very good theory on upscaling. I highly recommend his book, Upscaling. When we talk about big, hairy, audacious goal, we talk about this great idea that you have. Probably this should be the first question you ask yourself, and you can give different answers to all of the questions. All of them are not one answer question. They are multiple answers questions. So you always need to connect to that primal, really important goal that you have in your mind, which is the bright star, the North Star of your innovation, because innovation is not a change for the change's sake. You need to have a guiding inner motivation for it. And you need to be clear about that, well written about that. Who is on your team? I touched upon that earlier. I need to carefully look at the people in the team and unite their strong sides, their talents, at every case when we undertake a change. And also see the weak sides of each of us and all of us together, so that we can compensate with resources that might come from outside the school, might come from parents, or from different similarly thinking people, friends, collaborations, and so on and so forth. But the team is crucial. How will you know you succeeded? It's good that you shoot down different ways, plan carefully to be more precise, of ways to check how are you going through your innovations and what results you expect. And of course, do reality checks very often enough, so that you can steer the whole process. And finally, what other aspects of your school organism will innovation provoke to upscale? when we start to innovate, we sometimes think that we are changing one aspect of our organization or school. But actually, the truth is we need to upgrade everything, because if there's a big gap between the process or aspect we are innovating and the rest of the processes and the rest of the system, the innovation is doomed to failure. So usually we need to pluck up all the resources, courage, and competences we have and drive them all up, which is a good leverage instrument for the whole organism. And here I stop for this general questions for the leader as the leader of the process and the team. And I want to very quickly to browse through questions that are often underestimated but are very important. And these are questions to the leader as a person. Every leader needs to ask himself or herself how their life will change, how the processes that he or she engages with will impact their own life. Because this well of energy that the leader is, it's not full, it's not granted that it will be full and it won't be exhausted. So we need to take good care of us as people outside our job and inside our job, how to recharge, how to keep these energy levels high, because the process, the innovation relies on us. What is the best timing for us in our own lives, in our own life cycle, in our own working schedule? How am I growing and upscaling as a person and as a professional? Because this gap mechanism that I explained earlier applies here as well. If our school grows but we don't, then this discrepancy that kills part of the effects of the innovation. What help can I get? Often when we are all energized and we are responsible for a project, a process, a big innovation that touches upon all aspects of life of the school or our own, we sometimes exclude all the resources outside us, and we remain solo players, warriors that can do everything and anything. But actually there are plenty of resources only if we reach out, only if we ask and we stay open to receive. And how does it synchronize with the mission of my life is a very important question. Am I on the right track with what I want to do with my life as a whole? There's a last picture. These are children's hands, very tender ones, keeping drops of water on a leaf. Very often the balance that we need to create when innovating and changing things, very often it resembles this kind of balance. It's a tender balance, but we have lots of drive inside to continue to play the game. And that's all from me here. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Radka. Just a little bit over time, but I think it's a very good presentation. I now like to go to our second speaker, Jakub from Czech Republic, about special needs education.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy I can be here. I can see you. You can see me and hear me. I'm very happy and honored. I can speak to you and share my ideas and opinions. The topic of my short talk is about we are front runners of education, and I would like to share some ideas with you about not that we are front runners, but why we have to be front runners as a private independent school which cares for children with special needs. First of all, I think every school, no matter whether independent or public, which cares for children with special needs has to be front runner because of approach of special education. The reason why I think this is that most of common schools, if I can say this word, common, are inspired by approaches which came from special education. It means I can name, for example, Montessori schools. I can name Waldorf schools, or I think any other alternative which we can talk about came especially from a field of special education or education for children with special needs, because this creativity was needed for helping those children. So that's the first thing I would like to share, or first idea I would like to share with you. Radka talks about history of independent schools in Bulgaria. We in Czechia, we are in very similar or we share the history. After democratic changes started, also our schools, our independent schools started, and the same thing is, it started and it was founded by teachers and by people who worked in public schools before, and they wanted to do some change or changes, and they wanted to do the things in other way. So that's the same we share. And nowadays we are in a little bit different situation, and our independent sector is growing today, and the initiatives comes mainly from parents, because today parents are the people who wants to some change in public sector. For sure, they are connected and they work together with teachers also. But I think the parents who wants the change are the strongest power in this. Radka talked about sustainability, sustainability of leadership. It's a very good point, because today we are after 30 years from beginning of our schools, and most of people who founded schools in 90s after Velvet Revolution, they are retiring now, and the new generation is coming. School which I lead, I am headmaster of school for children with special needs. It was founded by my mother and by my father, and I started, I think it's 5, maybe 4 years ago as headmaster. And today I realized my main goal is to find how school will work after, I hope, around 20 years. So my main goal will be to find someone or some ways how to make our schools sustainable, and how to make them innovative also in next years, because schools are personalized by the leaders, by headmasters. And as Radka said, if we as leaders won't grow, and if we will we will, for example, we will be tired from work, the school will be the same, because we are mirroring, or the school is mirroring as we are acting and what we are doing. So it's thank you for this input. My father says, if people read more, they won't discover or invent too much. And I think this is other point or other idea which I would like to share with you, because I think, and I'm persuaded, we are innovative, but we don't invent some new things. We are not discovering new ways and new approaches. We are just making some eclectic approach. We are finding good practices everywhere we can, and trying to establish them in our work and in our school, and work with our children's in ways we see that are good, and those good approach. So I think innovation haven't be the discovering of something new. That's the main idea. And I were like the patience, because the idea of we have to be very patient in starting innovations, because I believe we have to do innovations or new approaches really step by step, and from one side and from other side, and from down to up, and from the all directions and all possibilities we can do it. And many times we won't succeed because of people and because of us. It's so for sure it's our responsibility to make those new ideas and put them in life. Yeah. Independent school as front runners. We have to be front runners. We have to be front runners, because if we are not, or we won't be front runner, we won't survive. And I think we have very good schools in public area also. I think we are not divided as independent schools and public schools. And also we have independent schools which are not innovative and which works in traditional ways, and which I can say they are not front runner, and I think it is not bad. It is not something we have to be angry with, because we also need the schools which works in some more traditional way, I think. But to be the front runner, we are, and we can make the changes. Our school started because parents and teachers of children with special needs were trying to find a way how to teach children with special needs, with very severe handicaps in school, and how we can teach them in daily basis. That children came in the morning to the school, and on the afternoon they can go home, and it was not common before Velvet Revolution in Czechia. So, and this one thing, for example, is common today. We as frontrunner, or we as innovative school, we banned homeworks in our school in the 90s. We knew we won't use them. Today, or yesterday, I heard in news, Poland is banning homeworks in whole country. And we were for sure, we were criticized for those, and I am not sure if you can hear me good now, because screen freezed. Okay, very good, thank you.
All fine. But
thank you.
Mark the time, Jakub.
And those small things and small steps, and that's the thing Radka talked about. We have to be very patient, and we have to maybe sustain on those our ideas we want to have in life. So I think those are main ideas which I wanted to share with you, and I'll be happy if we can discuss some of them now or later. It's on you, Peter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jakub, for this very passionate talk you gave to us. And later on in the Q&As, there may be some questions for you. I now like to go to our last speaker from Turkey, Serap. Please.
I can present myself, and I'm head of one of the private school in Istanbul, Istanbul Technical University Foundation High School, and also I'm committee member of the Turkish Private School Association, and also this is my 19th year in the school, and this is my 10th year as school head of school. And I'm trying to be innovative, positive administrator principal of the school in a very dynamic and changing system. I will add some more questions to Radka's questions, so today it will be full of questions. Say, my main questions of this topic is: school leaders are problem solvers, and is it possible to stay positive in these problems? How can we build positive school culture? What is positive pressure? And is it possible to have pressure in that positivism? We will see. For in my next slide, school life is a relationship-based environment, and unfortunately, in these days, relationships are turned upside down. Especially after pandemic, we all found ourselves hopeless and pessimist. Students believe that school is unnecessary. For example, they can be influencer in social media, or they can be a new Zuckerberg. There is a significant increase in the number of people leaving teaching. Teachers are not happy these days. Families feel helpless while raising the new generation. They cannot adapt to new style. That's why we need to change our school management techniques and find a new method. We need to leave our room and see what we can do in the school. School principal is not an office worker in paperworks. So I can describe our situation same as the change in the railways. In my next slide, you can see these two trains. Both of them have the same purpose. It's transportation. The railway still exists, and we call the vehicle as train. These are the same, but the tools, methods, and speed have changed a lot. We cannot expect the old machinists to drive the new locomotives. New locomotive system moves with a joystick and controls each electrical wagon on a panel. For example, how can I say, the temperature of each wagon may be different. So just one panel change everything. Old school approach is like steam locomotive. Therefore, the school leader must adapt to this change and include every individual in the movement of this train, not alone. But it's easy to say, but it's not easy to apply all those things into school system. I'm trying to give a new idea to you. Sometimes I feel myself in a trouble basket. The school principal's office is a bit like a trouble basket, and everyone leaves the problem on the table and expects the principal to solve all those problems. And with this way, they also leave all the responsibility to one person's shoulders. However, if the only person who solves the problem is a school principal, there cannot be a holistic learning environment in this organization. Of course, under these conditions, it's not possible for the school principal to remain positive for a long time. That's why the school principal must leave the office and take part in school life. The principal can better see who and how can involve in solving the problem. Everyone has their own ideas, their own style. So you can see academic concerns, classroom management stuff, and AI things with full of plagiarism from AIs. We have many parental issues, and we are a private school, so we in economic crisis, we have some financial expectations, problems. We need to solve all those problems, troubles all together in the school. But I couldn't find the exact one. Leadership in school isn't merely about issuing directives or enforcing rules. It's about setting an example through actions that reflects the values of respect, empathy, and integrity. Effective leaders understand that they serve as role models whose behavior and interactions shape the culture of the entire school community. So we have to change the old school system away from our new system. To overcome all those problems, we have to work as a team. It's almost impossible to establish an accepted system without cooperation and teamwork. To achieve this, we aim to ensure that everyone undertakes tasks in which they can take responsibility and make a difference. If everyone believes that they are part of this team and they can do their part in the best way possible, they will establish a strong bonds with the school. Other stakeholders, for example, parents, are convinced that they have to take responsibility for things to go well at school. Students accept their place at school is very valuable for them and their environment, and teachers do their job knowing that the continuation of all this depends on them. In my school, I believe that it's necessary to increase the number of decision makers by establishing different committees and to share the responsibility to the decision taken. Thus, I saw that when teachers and students share in the solution of problem, they can immediately detect the problem and take preventive measures for all of them. And I have another metaphor in next slide. Yes. All those people under pressure, but it's not a bad pressure, it's positive pressure because they are willing to be in there, and every racer in the boat has feels that pressure. It's very important to give the correct message to all stakeholders are working for the same goal. I think it's necessary to create positive pressure while doing this. In order to do this, it's very important to ensure that everyone believes that they have a very important role to play in achieving, and while to do this with accurate, meaningful, full, and visible messages. Thus, everyone under positive pressure will do their best not to be embarrassed sometimes and not to put the team in difficulty. We are in the same boat under same pressure. It's necessary to be able to manage this by maintaining open, honest, and constructive communication channels within the school community. In next slide, I'm trying to give some clues about school leader. As Radka told, being well-being is very important in these days. So to create a positive environment, the school principal needs a positive perspective and strong psychology. And you must be an individual who believes in the environment you are in, who sees being a learner and a teacher as equal, and who has a high sense of responsibility. I can't say this is easy either, because you may be with parents who expect you to create a miracle with a miracle stick, and students who do not believe in necessity of learning, and teachers who see themselves only as narrators. However, leader needs to include everyone in the game, and school leaders should away from standard system. As Jakub said, school leaders should be innovative and try to find challenges, new projects, be happy and positive. At the end, it's evident that traditional methods might not fully resonate with the new generation. Our students and young teachers have been raised after 2000s in the internet era. They are not patient enough, they are not resilient enough, and we cannot criticize them because of that, because we did it. I'm so sorry. And at our school, we need to work together with them. We are committed to fostering a strong, positive atmosphere that empowers our students to thrive. As a result, as effective leaders within the school, we can transform school life into a positive environment by sharing strong bonds, effective communication, cooperation, and responsibility. Thank you for listening. If you want to come to Istanbul also, I will be here for anything. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Serap, for this very clear presentation. I see we only have 4 minutes, so I don't think it's wise to start a Q&A now because it would not fit all the purposes. So therefore, I would like to end this webinar now, thanking everybody for joining us and for being with us. All participants will receive an email with a quality survey. We please ask you to fill it in and return it to ECNAIS. Finally, as I said before, all webinars will be uploaded on the ECNAIS website in a couple of days or weeks. I don't know for sure. And well, I thank you very much for joining us again. Wishing you a very nice day. And if you want to stay with other webinars today, it's possible to join the ECNAIS webinar week. Thank you very much. Have a nice day and hope to see you again.
Thank you, Peter. I just want to say one small thing. We're coming back in 15 minutes and we have the link in the chat right now, so you can join us there. And we're going to have a webinar on shaping the future of education together. And we're going to have, as I said before, all the lead partners come together one last time. So don't miss it because the week is coming to an end and we will see you soon in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Valentina.
Thank you, and thank you to the speakers, and thank you to Peter.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.